Accolonn is completely wrong. The new player experience is still shit, and nobody knows what the frick is going on in the starting game for Dragonflight.
You're a new player, you've never played World of Warcraft. What is necessary for you?
Dragonflight babies. Just coming in, never played World of Warcraft before. Accolonn thinks they get acclimated to the shit tons of lore that the game has pretty easily. I would have to say that the lore is very easily digestible this time around as opposed to Shadowlands. However, the lore is still fucking all over the place in the game. And that's my reasoning why I think Accolonn is really wrong on this one, because, you know, let's just give a couple examples to be able to support the ideas for this one. Accolonn is talking about how would a new player feel if they saw all the videos and then play Draxir and then start playing Dragonflight. Okay, but those are 3 assumptions that you're making, Accolonn. You can't assume that people are going to do any of those things. You really can't. So you can't assume that people have watched all the prior Dragonflight videos. You can't assume that. You can't assume that people have gone and played Evoker. You can't assume any of that. And then you also can't assume that people have watched any of the other videos, started at anything else other than looked at what is in Dragonflight, starting off at level 1 and just starting up the game. So that's what I want to show in preview today. Let's listen to what Accolonn says real quick, and then let's do a bunch of stuff to prove I'm completely freaking wrong. All right, here we go.
You're a new player, you've never played World of Warcraft. What is necessary for you to know? That's how I watched the Legacy chapters. Yes.
Here we go. That's how he watched Legacy chapters, like he was a new player and had never seen him before. That is a good eye to be able to take a back stance and to be able to think about, well, what if I was a new player and I'm just getting into the game? Well, if you're a new player and you're just getting into the game, you're in the game, you're not watching the videos. This is most likely going to be the first thing that new players see, not any of the Dragonflight lore. So when we're talking about new players and new player experience, we really have to judge it off this experience right here. This is what new players first see when they're coming into the game. Most people are not, in my opinion, I think most people are not going to go looking into the lore to be able to see what's going on with the game. People are going to try it out first. So when we're talking about Dragonflight babies, this is going to be the first thing that they see right here. It's not going to be any of the lore that the Accolonn is talking about. It's going to be most likely this island. And Dragonflight, really, the lore isn't gonna, like, you know, grab people until people are level 58, and that's a really big commitment. It's because there's like 7 hurdles that a player has to clear: buying the game, paying the subscription, getting through Exile's Reach, maybe playing with another friend, and then leveling all the way from 1 to like level 58 or 60. So they gotta do all these things before they even get exposed to any sort of Dragonflight lore. So first part where Accolonn completely failed.
You're a new player, you've never played World of Warcraft.
First one.
As well as a lot of people on Twitter and just in other comment sections that I've been frequenting, that I've been seeing quite a lot. And it is from people, you know, the sort of iffy about the Dragonflight lore and, you know, should I be excited for Dragonflight? Should I not be? What exactly is it all about? Like that. There's not much in the old WoW that you need to know in order to get into Dragonflight and actually follow the story. You know, you're getting introduced to...
Alright, I'm going to stop you right there, Accolonn. Yes, there is much less than you need to know in Dragonflight lore coming into this expansion as a new player rather than Shadowlands. I will agree with him there. However, the lore is still all over the place for World of Warcraft when you start off at level 1 and you've seen no other content.
You're a new player, you've never played World of Warcraft.
And that's really where you gotta be able to put the player in. Let's hear what else he has to say.
Do all of the Dragonflights the same as all other players will be introduced to it, especially if you play through the Drakthir campaign.
Here's the second part where Accolonn completely fails. You can't assume anything. So he assumed people saw the videos. You can't assume a new player has seen any of that. You can't assume players see nothing other than what someone sees launching the game. How does that feel? So this is the second failure where he assumes, you know, someone has seen outside, you know, well, it is lore inside the game, Drakthir. But what if you don't play a Drakthir? I gotta play devil's advocate on this one. I really think he's wrong on this.
If you compare this to expansions like Legion, BFA, or Shadowlands, if you're a new player and you started playing in Shadowlands, you had this crazy lady that ripped open the sky. You don't know who she is, you have no idea where she comes from, you also don't really know why she ripped open the sky, so you would be forgiven for thinking, oh, this is one of the bad guys. No, this is actually not one of the bad guys, this is just a very...
Bro, nobody knows why Sylvanas ripped a hole in the sky. When we saw that cinematic trailer, everyone was like, oh, we were like, oh, she's gonna put on the helm. Sylvanas is gonna put on the helm. We're gonna have a Lich Queen. We're gonna have a Lich Queen. And she's we were like, oh my god, she broke the freaking helm. Nobody knew she was gonna do that, man. Nobody knew she was gonna do that. I do have to agree with him that the lore in Dragonflight for a new player, once you step into Dragonflight at like level 58 or whenever you can go in there, yes, the lore is good, but I'm talking about level 1. 90-95% of the time, Exile's Reach is going to be the first lore that any new player sees. Is going to be the first experience that most new players are going to be able to get, and most people I think are going to try out the free version. They're not gonna start off with these lore videos that Accolonn is launching. They're not going to know about the dragons and the aspects. They might have a sort of general idea that, oh hey, World of Warcraft is this MMO that's been around forever. This is the company with the thing with the breast milk, right?
Drinking breast milk and all that crap, yes. Blizzard cleaned this up. The company seems to be on a new trajectory.
Oh my God,
it seems like a lot of the developers are really happy to work there now.
I don't think they're ever going to be able to
live that down. Now they have no excuses.
They're just getting into Dragonflight, so Dragonflight babies. Yeah, Accolonn watching these Dragonflight Legacy videos as a new player is a huge contradictory, because it's just that it's good to act like you've never seen like that before. Like, hey, if a new player saw this, how would they feel? It's good to be able to take that sort of like backseat and sort of think about how that story could be digested, as opposed to someone who is maybe not such a huge lore buff. You know, that is definitely a good thing. However, to assume that players are going to start off in Dragonflight is ludicrous, because there's so many other hurdles that they have to get into to even come anywhere close to being able to playing Dragonflight, or to even be able to decide if they want to play Dragonflight. But yeah, there's a lot of things that a new player has to do to come anywhere even close to Dragonflight. So I have to say Accolonn is correct with a lot of the things he says. However, with a new player experience, there are just so many other hurdles that a new player has to clear just to come anywhere even close to Dragonflight and Dragonflight lore. I know I took what Accolonn said literally, and am kind of like making like a super, kind of like a stink and making like a point about it, but there's something very interesting in making a point about that. A new player, Dragonflight baby, just gets into the game. What are all the hurdles that a brand new player to World of Warcraft has to clear before they come anywhere close to Dragonflight lore and might be interested in those Dragonflight videos? I think that's a very interesting topic, and that's why I made this video. So I just had to give Blizzard a quick shout out for sound design, because in the 1 to 10 experience, there was a lot of like really good songs, and even beyond the level 10 experience, there was a lot of good soundtracks. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I tried out the new player experience myself, and I really gotta give credit to Blizzard for sound design. It's really good. There's creepy music, like Tears Fall music, in the creepy parts, and it's historically, I love that. So as a returning player, I love that. And then they have newer music that hasn't been in the game before, and it's really kind of like mysterious, and you're like finding your way, and it's kind of like upbeat. And I really have to give it to Blizzard here. Give credit where credit is due. For sound design, it amazing. Whoever did the sound design for the leveling experience did a knockout job, and the music that has been like in the game so far. And I'm saying this as starting off as like an Alliance player as opposed to Horde. The sound design coming in as an Alliance player is top freaking notch, and music doesn't. There's not a lot of games where the music draws you in, but when music and story are really good in a game and can draw you in, they really draw you in. And both of those things, not just the music, was drawing me in, you know, to want to just play this more. The narrative story that the Alliance sees, I would say, as opposed to the Horde, because the Horde's new player experience isn't nearly as good. So for new player experience, I really hope they go Alliance, because it really showcases the lore and you know, what's happened to these people, like the many wars of World of Warcraft. Like the title is World of Warcraft, and you're just picking up this game. The Alliance side really shows how that war has affected people. It really gets into the Jaina and about how she is personally affected by the many wars of this universe, and it even talks about her culture and how her culture feels about her. And then you start getting into the culture, like the background of, you know, why this character feels this way and where they come from and how this war has affected her family and the city where she grew up. And like, I gotta give it to Blizzard again. The sound design was awesome, and it drew me in, and it's like, oh, this is good. This is like some really good adventuring music. And then the storyline drew me in. I was like, oh wow, the way they set up this story as an Alliance new player is like really good. I was like, I'm getting drawn into this story, and like I just want to play World of Warcraft just so I can see what happens to Jaina, because she gets, you know, locked up. So yeah, you get drawn into this story, and you just want to find out what happens to Jaina, because she has this confrontation with her mother, and there's so much drama, like on all sides of this. There's this mysterious powder that gets introduced, and you don't know what it is, so you're looking into that. Jaina gets captured, so you want to find out what happened. The background story of this is, you know, all these wars has caused these people to be very skeptical, and you really feel in these introductions, you really feel the weight of how serious these wars have affected these people, and seeing that, like, I've played so much Horde, and I've typically skipped all this story. Typically I skip all this, but when I got into it, I was like, oh my god, this is really good. Like, I didn't know it could, like, I didn't know that the sound and the story could, like, really draw you in as well as it did. And I've been looking into, like, the history of World of Warcraft and trying to understand the lore better for myself. So, as someone who's been trying to understand the lore better and seeing how it's presented in the game, I really got into this because how it was presented in the game was really good. I was really absolutely, I was truly blown away by how well Blizzard handled the new player experience as an alliance. They did a fantastic job. However, that still doesn't answer the question. So not a Wrath baby, but a Dragonflight baby. Somebody just picks up the game from the start. What do they see? What do they see, and what are the experiences they have? And when are they introduced to the Dragonflight lore? How a brand new character starting off at level 1, how does that character get introduced to Dragonflight lore? Well, to be honest, if you're as drawn in as I was to the Kultiris storyline, they're probably just going to keep playing Kultiris because it was really fun and I wanted to find out what happened. It's actually not until you go back to Stormwind, back from Kultiris to Stormwind, or to your main city, that you get introduced to Dragonflight lore and you get a summons from Wrathion. So that is the first time a new character is introduced to that. And once you talk to Wrathion, that's actually the first Dragonflight content that you're introduced to inside of the game. And as a new player, I think this is a much more likely scenario of how a brand new player is going to be introduced to the lore. I know I talked this off of a literal context of what Accolonn said, but I think that topic is an interesting topic to be able to look into. How much content did a player have to get into before they actually see any Dragonflight content? I knew that Accolonn meant how much, if a new player sees this and they really don't have a lot of background, like newer player, if a newer player sees this and they don't have a lot of background, is it pretty easy for them to understand? Yes, definitely. But there was just something interesting in taking what he said literally. You're a brand new player, you've never played World of Warcraft. What type of content are you most likely going to see first? And I think it's going to be this. Should you be excited for Dragonflight? For returning players, yeah, totally. I think there's a lot of cool things coming to Dragonflight that people should absolutely check out. People should also be excited that World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King is freaking awesome right now, and there's a lot of people playing an older version of the game, and it's really good right now. And people should also be excited for Everlook, the private server that is still has up the original version of the game. Yes, it's a little bit buggy, it's a little bit hard to get into, and a little bit difficult to get set up. But for any of those major, huge classic vanilla WoW fans, yes, at this moment in time, coming up on 2023, World of Warcraft is looking really good right now. There are 3 versions of the game that are doing, I think, they are going to be doing very well coming up in 2023. And yeah, I'd say everyone in any facet of WoW should be very excited, to be able to play any of these. And you know what? That's pretty much all I have for you today. If you've seen any content and you like the video, please consider liking, subscribing, and donating, even if it's as little as $1, so you can help out and help grow this channel on the great algorithm. Because everyone knows the great algorithm, that's gonna be really what decides your success or failures in, making this type of content. So please consider leaving a like or a sub, or, anything would really help, and I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming in and watching this, and have a good day, the internet. See you later.